I really truly believe that there does come a time where the person just really like knows their worth and value, and that no one or anything can make them happy but themselves, basically, but them. And the signs that appear to happen, whatever, the twin, basically, let's put it that way. The twin is no longer a factor anymore because the person realizes that their happiness doesn't dwell in the twin flame, right? There does come a point where that does apparently happen for the person. And that's just it. That's the key thing here, is knowing your worth and your value, and not putting your worth and your value into someone else, and, putting that person above you. And that's what this is all about, really. And I feel like a lot of people that are on the journey twin flame, they're so focused on seeing the twin flame again that they forget themselves. They forget who they are. They forget about what matters the most. And because they're so like fixated on the twin flame, all the signs that are appearing to happen, and they turn it into this magical thing, this fairy tale thing, because all of the signs are happening, but those things are appearing to happen to show you that there's no separation. That, once again, the twin flame never left, because there is no separation. But a lot of the times the person looks at it as separate because the twin isn't showing up in the physical, right, form, energy, whatever. They're not showing up in the physical way. So automatically they're separating the signs, or whatever you want to call it, from the twin flame, and they're saying, oh, I'm seeing all of this because those are signs telling me that the twin flame is either thinking about me, or I'm coming into union, right? These are the things that happens on the twin flame journey, apparently. They literally believe that all those things are appearing to happen because they're signs that the twin flame is gonna pop up all of a sudden, when really that's energetically, that's them popping up already. Just because it's not in the physical form doesn't necessarily mean that it's not them. Energy is very spontaneous, so it can appear to happen in any kind of way. But anyways, what I'm getting here is, like, eventually, once the person realizes that there is no separation, and that the things that are showing up is just it's just the twin flame appearing as that. It no longer, becomes a thing anymore, because the person realizes, like, holy shit, there is no separation, and that the twin can show up in different ways. And then once the person realizes this, it becomes not even a thing anymore, and they move on because they're settled and realizing that it is what it is, right? And who knows? You know, you will have some teachers, and you know, that will tell you, or people, doesn't have to necessarily be teachers, but you'll hear other people say it too, or whatever, tell you, oh, once you become so settled in realizing that there is no separation, the twin will start to show up physically. But there's no truth in that neither, because there are people that have gone on for years at being settled with realizing that there's no separation, and the twin just never showed up in that physical way. But they still see them showing up in other ways, like the name, right? The car, seeing a car that looks like theirs. What else? Hearing their name. I mean, the list goes on. But they're just not showing up in the physical way. But there is this realization with the person that it is what it is, and the twin flame is just showing up the way the twin flame is showing up. So there is no telling of how and when the twin will ever show up in your life. There's really no true story behind it, is what I've realized. Hold on, I just had a brain fart. I was just about to say something. And then there's this realization that I don't give a fuck, right? Like whether they show up in the physical way or not anymore, because there is no separation. And I know my worth and my value, and I value myself so much that I realize that the twin flame is not gonna bring me happiness, right? I'm not gonna put my happiness in my twin flame, because that's not, you know, you gotta be okay with how things are, whether it's you missing them, whether it's you not missing them, whether it's you wanting them around, whether it's you not wanting them around, whether it's blah, 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 whatever. It's being okay with whatever's happening. And just, you know, being okay with how things are unfolding. Whether it's in a way that you don't prefer, or whether it's in a way that you do prefer, either way, you're okay. And, you know, I think once you're at that place of neutrality, it's not even going to matter anymore. Like, it's just not going to matter anymore. It's not. But, like I said, it's okay for the person not to be okay. That's just it. There are no rules to this. And realizing that I'm not okay right now. I'm not okay, and being okay with that. Being not okay. You know? That's neutrality. Yeah, so really, you can be neutral. And because you'll hear a lot of people say, you know, like, oh, well, once you're neutral, the twin will, like, show up, whatever. But there's really no telling, because the person can be neutral and the twin may not pop up in a physical way. And there's no such thing as physical. There's no such thing of any of it, really. It's just energy arising as physical or signs, right? It's just what's arising. And it's just being okay with that. And even if you're not okay with it, it's realizing that you're not okay. That's neutrality. And there's really no telling of when and how the twin flame is going to appear in your life. They can show up in any kind of way, but it's being okay with that and just looking at it as it is what it is, and realizing that true happiness is just being, and not putting something else above you and thinking, oh, that's gonna make me happy, and that person is better than you, blah blah blah, whatever, you know. But all of that comes, you know, unfolds the way it does. There's no like, well, when is that gonna happen for me? There's no telling. That's just it. It'll happen when it happens. It will end when it ends, you know. And nothing really ever ends, you know. Energy's so spontaneous that you can be one way and then you'll be another way the next energy shift. Whatever you want to call it. Energy's constantly shifting, right, into like different forms or whatever, different things, whatever. It's constantly shifting. So you just really, there's no, you know what I mean? There's no ending to anything, really. It's never ending, really, apparently. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just blubbering on, but I just really feel like it's all about knowing your worth and your value and just, you know, being okay with how things are appearing to happen. And, yeah. And I'm not saying that once you know your worth and your value that your twin is just going to pop up in a physical form. Because really, there's no telling on how and when they will do that. There's no telling. There's no book that can tell you that. There's no person that can fucking tell you that. Why? Because it happened to them. Okay, that happened to them and maybe a few other people. But it doesn't, but everyone's story is different. Everyone's story is different. It could happen for you in a different way. You know, you just may just be seeing them in different ways all the time. Or you may just see them physically all the time. It's a catch-22, yo. Really, it really is. There's nowhere where it says when and how they're going to pop up. Even if you've heard other people say, well, that's happened to me. This is when this has happened. This doesn't matter. That's them. That's fucking them. You can hear other coaches say, well, normally I've noticed a lot of people, you know, your twin will come around at this certain time and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's what you've noticed. But not everyone is, it's going to happen to like that. You know? Not everyone. I used to believe all that shit. I used to follow and listen to that shit and really believe it. And like I said, believe it. It became a belief. It was no longer like, I don't know. It was just like, it was like religion. It just became a belief. And it's sad because people literally hold expectations of it. They do. They hold major fucking expectations, looking for it. Well, I'm almost there, or how come it's not happening to me? I've come to the place where I'm okay. I've done all this stuff, and still I'm not seeing them physically. That's because you're not those other people. Everyone's different. And some people do, and some people may experience the same thing, and then some may not. You know? It's a catch-22. But once that belief is no longer there, it really doesn't matter anymore. It won't matter. Because you've come to the realization that there is no separation, really, and they're going to show up the way they show up. They're going to show up the way they show up. But I used to hold those expectations big time. Big time. I was looking for it, waiting, and doing everything that, people were saying to do and all this shit. And I'm like, well, fuck, how come nothing's happened? Right? Because there's no telling. No one can fucking tell you that shit, man. They can only tell you what they experienced and what they went through. And then they assume that it's going to happen for you too. And then you start to believe it as well. And it's sad. It really is, because these people really believe what other people are saying, and like, I don't even know. I'm going off of what is noticed for me. This is what I've noticed. But just because with me, it's happening for me in one way doesn't mean that it's going to happen for you. Right? Because there's really no telling. There's no telling. And I'm not going to sell you no fucking story, man. I'm not going to do that. That's not what I do over here. But anyways, I'm off. Have a good day. Bye.